woman standing up against a qualified man for a job position, the man would be favored more. And even if the woman was hired, she'd be paid 72 cents for every dollar he would earn. And these inequalities, gave birth to a fire inside me. I didn't want to continue to grow up in this sort of a world. I wanted to prosper where there is equality, where there's acceptance for women, where women are never degraded for their bodies, for their abilities, or for the issues they're going through, where women are listened to. So I thought that, I can't wait around for, years and years, waiting for the right person to show up, waiting for some right movement to happen for all of this to change. Of course, I had to be the one to light the fire and, get things going.
This is Fem Radio, a production of CJRU's Feminist Radio Collective.
Hey, and welcome back to Fem Radio on CJRU 1280 AM in Toronto. I'm your host, Sofia Bavarutsos. I don't know how, but we've reached the end of the summer. Even though it seems like it's gone by way too fast, call me a square, but I'm actually really excited to get into the new school year, see my friends, get a new routine, and of course, bumping into you guys on campus is something to look forward to, so if you see me, come say hey. Last episode, we finished off our Women in Transit series, and I just wanted to say thanks for all of the positive feedback that we got. Just because that series is over doesn't mean the cool content is over too. I've actually been working on this week's feature for about a month now, and I'm so excited for you to finally listen to it. This week, I'm interviewing Mary Hawk, the founder and CEO of the Sheen for She Foundation. Sheen for She provides care services for women who can't access them for any number of reasons, and the services range all the way from aesthetics to self-defense. You're going to learn all about that in a little bit. Plus, I've got feminist news, artist spotlights, and of course, a history lesson to kick things off. With the school year coming up, if you haven't already, I know many of you will have to make important opt-in or opt-out decisions. Please remember to remain opted into CJRU and other student groups. And if you'll remember, CJRU launched its Patreon service earlier in the summer. If that sounds familiar, that's good because I've been talking about it for probably 4 episodes now. Patreon is a paid membership service which runs in tiers. By becoming one of CJRU's Patreons, you can get access to fall merch, free passes to our station-run concerts, social media follows, your own radio broadcast, which we have you come into the station, record a little station ID, and then we air it, and much more. The tiers start at $2 a month, and the highest one is $20 a month. All of the money from our Patreons goes straight into the station, our shows, and therefore back to you because it helps us to give you what we know you want. I'm going to have the link to the Patreon in the description box of this episode if you're listening on SoundCloud. If you're listening to this as it airs though, do not worry, I'll have the link on our show's social media channels, which you should be following anyways for all of the Fem Radio latest and greatest. That's at CJRU Fem Radio on both Instagram and Twitter. You can also find it at CJRU 1280 on both Instagram and Twitter as well. And now let's get into our show. So, since the Sheen for She Foundation partially focuses on self-defense, I thought it would be cool to talk about it in today's history lesson, since it's also something that we haven't really talked about yet on the show. Today, we're going to talk about the longest-running women's self-defense method in Canada. It's called Wendu and was established in 1964, with the first class being taught in 1972. Which is actually quite a bit more recently than I was expecting when I started researching for this episode. But anyways, the concept of Wendu was born when Anne and Dr. Ned Page were moved by the Kitty Genovese case. Kitty Genovese was murdered in New York City by a stranger on her way home from work. Many neighbors claimed to have seen the attack, but not contacted police or assisted because they thought everyone else would be taking action already. The case actually created what's known today as the bystander effect. And it moved the Page family because they thought that with a little support, Kitty could have survived. The Page family, who already had martial arts experience, decided to use their skills to help prevent this tragedy from happening to other women. They created physical self-defense techniques that don't require women to fight strength against strength in defense situations. The first Wendu course was taught at Don Mills Collegiate right here in Toronto in 1972. The Page family taught their new techniques to over 100 women in the auditorium. In the second year of Wendu, it became a women-exclusive organization. The Pages found that the women resonated when there were female instructors, and only female participants because of the shared experiences. From that time until the present day, the organization's feminist, anti-racist, anti-oppression values are a key theme in all of their classes. Classes at Wendu are inclusive of all women, with participants being trans women, women of all abilities, and women from all backgrounds. A component of every class at Wendu focuses on debunking victim blaming, racist, internal, and external oppressive messages that women are often exposed to. Wendu classes are now taught across Canada, the United States, Japan, South Africa, New Zealand, and Europe. Since 1972, over 100,000 women and girls have participated in Wendu courses and workshops. And that's today's history lesson. To be completely honest, the more I researched Wendu, the more I wanted to take a class. Any Femme Radio listeners want to join me? DM me. I need to use my karate skills again. That's right, you're listening to a Brown Belt Advanced former karate student. Okay, I'm done flexing. We can continue with the rest of the episode now. The cool thing about CJRU is that our station works really hard to bring Canadian music to the forefront. And one of the coolest parts about working here is that every couple of weeks, they send us a newsletter filled with music content, which is where I got this week's first artist spotlight, Marlena Moore. Marlena Moore is originally from Edmonton, Alberta. When I first got the newsletter, I was drawn in by her sound, but then I started looking into her as an artist, and that's when I was really sold on putting her music on the show this week. Her Facebook biography describes her sound as personal bedroom confessionals with grunge guitar tones in a tight pop song package, and I couldn't describe it better if I tried. This song in particular, I think, fits that description perfectly. It's off her 2016 album, Gaze. This is Marlena Moore's Sidekick.
I was an ugly teenager. I look the same as I do now. I used to have a bleeding heart, but I dried out. I used to reek of innocence. Unknowingly I drew them in. So I got rigged into the game. Oh, I'm ashamed. sore twice, and loneliness is really nice. But then the heartache and the pain became my vice. Why do I long to be your sidekick deputy? Symmetry that make the days go easy. I'm so much more than a hedonistic whore. Ooh, I'm yours. Do what you want with me. Just love me, please.
One more time, that was Sidekick by Marlena Moore. You're listening to Femme Radio on CJRU 1280 AM in Toronto. I'm your host, Sofia Vaveroutsos. Let's see what's making headlines this week. This week, I got your news from CBC News, HuffPost Canada, and the Toronto Star. All of the links to these stories can be found in the description box for this episode if you're listening on SoundCloud, in case you're interested in reading the articles in full. Here's a feel-good sports story to kick things off. 12-year-old Vancouver native Michelle Liu was a fan favorite at the CP Women's Open. Missing the cut in the end, the young star got to have her first pro experience, even spending some time taking photos and signing autographs for spectators, and earning some airtime on the Golf Channel. Liu took up golf at only 6 years old and developed a very impressive skill set. Working with coach Rob Holding, Liu is a regular winner of events in her age category and remains competitive with players into their late teens. Liu finished as the top Canadian at the National Women's Amateur Championship and therefore earned her spot at the CP Women's Open. It was there that she finished with a 19 over par total of 163. Although her score didn't make the cut, Liu is proud of her accomplishments and is excited about what the future holds for her. All party leaders have been invited to participate in 2 official election debates, which will be moderated by some of Canada's top journalists, including some very powerful women. There will be an English debate as well as a French debate. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh, Liberal leader Justin Trudeau, Conservative leader Andrew Scheer, Green Party leader Elizabeth May, and Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet have all agreed to debate each other. That's from an announcement last Tuesday. The English debate on October 7th will be led by Althea Raj from HuffPost Canada, Susan Delacourt from the Toronto Star, Rosemary Barton from CBC News, Donna Friesian from Global News, and Lisa Laflamme from CTV News. And yes, that's a list of entirely female journalists. Each moderator will be given a section of the debate to lead. The French debate on October 10th will be led by Patrice Roy of Radio-Canada, along with featured journalists from Le Devoir, Le Soleil, La Presse, and L'Actualité. This year's debates will be held at the Canadian Museum of History in Gatineau, Quebec. Samantha Rush aims to help young voters identify misinformation online, leading up to the October 21st federal election. Rush is the research manager at Apathy is Boring, a non-profit organization that encourages youth to engage in politics. She says misinformation can be a barrier keeping young Canadians from participating politically. Leading up to the election, Apathy is Boring, along with approximately 400 other groups and individuals, will be launching a media literacy campaign focused on helping young voters identify the sources of election information online. The campaign will include lessons like how to turn off autoplay on YouTube and how to conduct a reverse image search on Google. There will also be a focus on algorithms and how they can impact voters of different backgrounds, ages, and viewpoints, altering what is seen on one's social media feeds. Rush said her group wants to encourage youth to think critically about what they're seeing online. The push for the campaign comes from a concern about intentional misinformation campaigns from foreign parties, social media trolls, and other organizations, fueled by findings of Russian interference in the 2016 U.S. presidential election. Rush said students don't learn enough about these issues in schools and plans to send teams to concerts and festivals to speak with youth, as well as use popular social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram. The organization and its partners are planning a week of events from September 8th to September 15th, which is the United Nations International Day of Democracy. That was your feminist news this week. I'm your host, Sofia Vavaritzos, and you are listening to Fem Radio on CJRU 1280 AM in Toronto. It's almost time for this week's feature story, my interview with Mary Hawk. But before we get into that, our second artist spotlight. Riley Weeder is one powerful 15-year-old. From Whitby, Ontario, she's a lover of all things fine arts, especially music and dancing. She started taking vocal lessons only 3 years ago, which to me sounds crazy, considering she just released her first original song, which I'm going to play for you right now. This artist is one to watch for sure. Here's Ride or Die by Riley Weeder.
Lyrics on the bedroom mirror, lipstick stain on my pre-drink cheer, all the clothes that I own thrown everywhere, yeah. Horn going off 'cause my girls are here. Cash for the cover, jammed into the Hummer. Don't need Bacardi, 'cause we are the party. We'll be singing every word at the top of our lungs. Nights like these were made for the young. Girls got your back, what could go wrong? We're gonna ride or die. See us getting down in our Stevie Nicks tees. Guy to my left, wanna get with me. Try to come between us, boy please. We're gonna ride or die. Ladies fighting over the bathroom mirror, 'cause you can't take a selfie with your lipstick smeared. Floors are sticky, there's a ring in my ears. Still wouldn't wanna be anywhere but here. We'll be singing every word at the top of our lungs. Nights like these were made for the young. Girls got your back, what could go wrong? We're gonna ride or die. See us getting down in our GRTs. Guy to my left, wanna get with me. Try to come between us, boy please. We came to ride or die. Ride or die, yeah. We give out fake numbers, you won't know our names. We came here together, and we leave that way. We'll be singing every word at the top of our lungs. Nights like these were made for the young. Girls got your back, what could go wrong? We're gonna ride or die. See us getting down in our Johnny Cashies. Guy to my left, wanna get with me. Try to come between us, boy please. We came to ride or die. Ride or die, yeah. Ride or die. Girls got your back, what could go wrong? We're gonna ride or die.
Once again, that was Ride or Die by Riley Weeder. P.S. That song is a little bit of a teaser for the next episode of Fem Radio. If you think you know why, DM me on any of the social media accounts. Some of you are pretty clever and have somehow managed to guess just by listening to the artist spotlights from the last episode, which is kind of wild to me. Let's see how many will get it this time. And anyways, now it's time for the first of my secret projects I've been working on. And it's one that I'm so happy to finally be sharing with you. Mary Hawk is a student and the founder and CEO of the Sheen for She Foundation. I got lucky enough to pick this busy, inspiring woman's brain, learn all about her journey, her organization, and what she hopes to accomplish in the future. Here's my exclusive interview with Mary Hawk of the Sheen for She Foundation on Fem Radio.
Hi, I'm Mary Hawk, and you're listening to Fem Radio.
Hi, Mary. So you're from the Sheen for She Foundation, right?
That's right.
And do you mind telling me a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am the founder and CEO of the Sheen for She Foundation, and this is a fairly new organization. We've been working hard to put it up and get it going for the last year. Myself, I'm a full-time student, and I'm a very strong feminist and activist. So I've been vouching for women's rights and talking about women's issues ever since I was a little girl. So this is something that comes so natural for me. And I also have a blog, and I write a lot about hot topics, things that, aren't so popular, issues that are hushed, and I bring them some light, talk about their facts, talk about the realities of the world, and so naturally it comes to me to, participate in political campaigns, talk about policies, and try to reach out to people in power to let them know about what's going on in the streets where they don't really roam, right? In the sort of realities that you and I might see. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, so as you can see, Mary seems like the perfect fit for a Fem Radio guest, so we're very pleased to have you today. And
thank you, Sophia.
What would you say got you into feminism? Because you said you've been into it since you were a little girl.
Yeah, so I really believe that, my mom made the path for me in feminism because, when you're born, you really don't have any idea of the world, right? You're just molding your thoughts, ideas, and you are just getting going and believing in whatever's thrown at you. And more so, I was raised in a way where I was with a strong woman, 24/7, and I spent a lot of my time just around my mom, and she's filled me with these things that I should research, go ahead and learn more about women who are, in third world countries or even in Canada and what's going on with them. And she made me realize that, as a woman, it is my duty to learn about what my gender is going through and what our status is in the world today. And if I don't have this knowledge, if I don't have this awareness, then I'm pretty much I'm not doing my service in this world. So I did this research. I began to learn more. I did a lot of reading, and what I read was shocking to me. I was like, really? So this is what we're going through? I mean, the first time I learned that a qualified woman standing up against a qualified man for a job position, the man would be favored more. And even if the woman was hired, she'd be paid 72 cents for every dollar he would earn. And these inequalities, gave birth to a fire inside me. I didn't want to continue to grow up in this sort of a world. I wanted to prosper where there is equality, where there's acceptance for women, where women are never degraded for their bodies, for their abilities, or for the issues they're going through, where women are listened to. So I thought that, I can't wait around for, years and years, waiting for the right person to show up, waiting for some right movement to happen for all of this to change. Of course, I had to be the one to light the fire and, get things going. So the Sheen for She Foundation is where I began to, let my spark begin. And all of this would just trace back to all of that time that I've spent with a strong woman, and what I've done with research, and what I've, just my hunger to learn has led me to, become a feminist, and that's all.
Okay, yeah. And we actually hear that a lot of our guests get into feminism from their mothers. So I find that just really interesting too, just a quick side note.
Yeah, because I feel like you're around them all the time, and what they've seen is something they pass on to us, and it becomes our responsibility to move it forward, to not only just take that inspiration, but to turn it into action. And I feel like mothers see a lot of hope in this younger generation, that we are full of energy, we're full of knowledge, and we have, we know so much about these issues, more than they did in history, and we're getting involved more than ever. So I think that behind all of the great young leaders, there are strong women, especially moms, who said that, you can do this, and maybe this is the right path to take for you. So yeah, totally agree with you, Sophia.
That's amazing. I love that. So you're the founder and the CEO of the Sheen for She Foundation, right?
That's right.
So can you give me just a quick summary of your organization? What do you guys do? What do you handle?
Okay, so the Sheen for She Foundation is a platform for women, and what we do is offer 4 types of services. 1, medical aesthetics. 2, self-care training. 3, self-defense training. And 4, healing circles. And combining all these services together, we believe that we can bring underprivileged women out of their adversities, give them confidence, and empower them to change their future. And all of these services are free to women who cannot afford them otherwise outside of the foundation.
So you provide all of these services for free to women who are underprivileged, you said, right?
Yes, underprivileged, and those who cannot afford them if they were offered anywhere else.
Okay, that's really cool. And so is there any type of trends that you see with the women that come to your foundation, any common experiences or?
Yeah, so I guess the biggest thing that there is the huge difference in confidence, and in realizing that you're worth it. Sometimes when women come in, they come from different backgrounds, they come from different situations, and it's impossible to learn about everything they've been through or why they're here. But the thing that connects all of them, the pattern that I always see, is that, when they walk out, they feel like different people, they feel like different women, and that's the purpose of our foundation. Everyone takes away something different, either the courage to escape or the voice to speak up. They learn that, they're priceless, and that they should put themselves ahead of any problem and never neglect their needs. So whatever it is, they're feeling or want to change, they somehow find that power within themselves. And that's something that reoccurs in everyone who comes in.
And you just said something really interesting. You said they find the power to escape, right?
Yes.
So do you find that women who come to your organization, when they first come to you, are in a situation that could be dangerous or rocky or?
So I know it sounds a little dramatic, but in reality, the things that are happening to women right now are way worse than what we imagine in fictional stories. And you're right, when it comes to escaping, I don't just mean from a relationship. It could be from escaping from poverty, escaping from fear, escaping from doubts. It could, for example, be something that a woman's holding back and never going for an opportunity. It's escaping from low self-esteem. It can be anything that's, holding on to a woman like a chain with a prisoner. It's releasing all of those things, all of those obstacles that are not allowing you to progress in life, and then you're going for all of your dreams. You're going for all those opportunities, and this is what escape means. It's such a broad word, and I feel like a lot of the words that we use within the foundation, like healing, we use self-care, they have thousands of definitions to them. And because there's a diversity of women who come to our foundation, it could mean anything. It could mean whatever fits to their situation, and in a sense, it's an escape. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. That's cool. So, do you mind going a little more in depth about what your services provide women? I know you gave a brief overview of what they are, but just like what each one of them really means in your foundation?
Sure. So our Esthetics, these are basically services that you can find in different spas around the world, I guess. So like facials, microdermabrasions, laser hair removal, anything that is basically a grooming service for women to improve their skin's condition, their aging, scars, pimples, whatever is their problem, and make sure that they have a glowing face afterwards. And the other thing is that we remove scars that, can intimidate one's confidence or intimidate one from going out there because they don't feel great about presenting themselves. So we work with a sort of mindset that, everyone should have a face they feel great about, and because it's one of the first things that they show when they go for new opportunities.
Okay.
And the other thing is healing circles. So healing circles are basically friendship groups, and they're more than group counseling or group therapy. It's more where women come together as friends and they talk about their stories. They talk about what they've been through, and we have professionals join the conversation, such as lawyers, doctors, who offer their expertise, but also guide women and ask, women can ask any question they want. And these are professionals who are not usually accessible just by, you can't just walk into the door and ask like a lawyer question, but this is where they actually become part of the conversation and offer up the knowledge they have. So the other one is self-defense training, and I guess this is self-explanatory, but we teach women basic skills of defense so that they can buy themselves time in a dangerous situation or just get physically active, because when women are in deep problems, they normally neglect all of their basic needs, and physical activity is one of them. So we make sure that they also get physically fit, we get them moving, and they also know how to escape from a potentially dangerous perpetrator. And the last one is self-care training. And this is where we pass on skills and tools that women need in their professional, personal, or work lives. And we teach them how to do makeup, hairstyling, skincare, and learn how to groom themselves. And if you look at all the services together, like the center of our work is self-care, making women feel presentable, making them feel groomed, making them feel good. And there's one thing that really ties together like our theory and what we believe in is that if you sort of look into how dead bodies are presented in a funeral, they're all groomed, they look good, they look presentable, and they never look like they have been through something bad. All of their imperfections are covered, and when people come to grief them, they don't look avoidable. It's not like no one wants to be near them. So if dead bodies who don't have emotions, don't have lives anymore, and don't need all this stuff, are groomed, they are professionally made, with makeup and hair, why not women who are living in terrible situations and they have emotions, they have stories, yet don't feel presentable? People avoid them because of what they're going through, and no organization works towards making them feel presentable, confident, and prepared for the outer world. So if we can do this for dead people, we should most definitely do this for women who are living people and deserve to feel like they have a place in this world.
Yeah, that's actually an incredible point and a very good connection that you made with the dead bodies, because I think that really hammers it home. What would you say happens when the women leave your organization? Like you said, they get a lot more confident. So what do you think that does for them in their lives afterwards?
So as I said before, it gives them courage to bring change into their lives. And what we enable them to do is not only pass forward the skills they have now from our foundation, but also to teach their daughters, to teach their sisters and any other women in their life that they are worth something that is priceless, and no woman should feel like they, don't have any place, they are not deserving of anything, and that they should remain silent. So when empowered women exit the doors of our foundation, we have faith that they will spread this goodness. They will spread this aura of power, of women power, to all the women they encounter, and it becomes a contagious movement. And although it's not publicized, it's something that goes from person, or rather woman to woman, and turns into something unavoidable. And we hope that the confidence that we're giving women will be passed down and down through communities, through cities, and through countries.
Yeah, and it seems like also a very personal movement, right?
It definitely is, yes.
And you just had an event. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Of course. So on July 26th, we had our Women in Leadership Conference, and we had some powerful women come in, such as Beth Thompson, Leanne Mellon, and myself, and we had a great panel come together and talk about their stories and what they believe self-care is. And it's one of those topics that we learn a lot about in the media. Like, self-care is something where you take care of yourself, but it's so much more. It's more than just, doing your hair in the morning. Why are you doing your hair in the morning? It's because you want to make yourself feel good. And that feeling good is something that spreads through your actions. It moves through your body like the blood in your vein, and it powers you to do amazing things, all by just combing or maybe doing a ponytail in the morning. So all these theories and things were discussed during the conference, and we hope to have another one in November or December of this year.
Okay, that's very exciting, actually. Hopefully you can make that work.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you, a few episodes ago we did a discussion on Femme Radio about self-care and about how we found that it was a very trendy topic, but we weren't sure that people were really getting the true meaning of it. Do you think that sometimes the self-care trend takes away from the actual meaning because it's used to, sell products or kind of be an advertising campaign?
So I understand what you're saying about self-care becoming something people capitalize over with products and accessories. So this is something that I realized a while ago when I started the foundation. I was like, hey, these amazing spas offer these luxurious facials to women, and it turns out the only ones who get them in real life are those who can afford them. So what about the women who actually need these facials to improve their skin's condition? So that's why the foundation offered them for free. So with the products that are sold for self-care, saying that, you should care about your skin, so get this expensive, cream or whatever, I guess they're not, in a sense, taking self-care out of a context, because we do know that the more we invest in the products, the more we take in all of those high-quality products, it does make a difference, and that's why we say that, you get what you pay for. However, what I think you're pointing out is a difference in balance. There is so much advertising and so much in the media about expensive things where people feel like they need to go broke to care for themselves. I feel like what we need to do is not eradicate all those highly expensive or luxurious things, but more so target the need in media where we should be saying it doesn't have to be this expensive. Self-care can be so much as just washing your face in the morning. And if we balance out those messages with new, modern, and inexpensive ways of transforming your self-care regime, then people will start to understand that the value of these luxurious products may be amazing. However, I have that amazing power with me right now if I just step into my dressing room and pamper myself with some hairstyles, or find out DIY ways to improve my skin. Both things exist and both things present the same results. However, the unbalance of messages and media are something that make people feel like the only way to do self-care is with those products. Do you understand what I'm saying here?
I do. And I just have a bit of a follow-up question. You focus a lot on women's confidence, right?
Oh, yes.
So what do you think it does to a woman's confidence when the messages she's getting is that she can't possibly exercise self-care because she can't afford it?
So I think the main thing is that it doesn't directly impact her confidence. It more so gives birth to a thought in her mind that self-care equals to expensive products. I cannot afford expensive products, therefore I cannot do self-care. And knowing what self-care consists of, when she sort of feels in her life that there are things missing, for example, I don't have this, I don't even know the brands of like skincare, highly expensive products or something, but I do know that she will begin to feel like there are things missing in her life that are expensive. However, this could impact her confidence only if she lets them. The same thing that I was saying earlier, if she strives to find that balance of things that are in the deficit, for example, DIY things, or things that are accessible, like the Sheen for She Foundation, then she can avoid all of these negative things and make herself feel full in what she has, and never feel like these huge brands are going to dictate her confidence. And I guess the same thing goes for body image, and it's so targeted. However, what we're talking about isn't. So when we talk about these models in like Vogue magazines or something, then we say, like, look at their bodies, they're so skinny, they look like dolls. And we can ask the same question here. Doesn't that affect women's confidence? Doesn't that affect the way they feel about themselves?
For sure.
Well, most definitely, right? And however, the same thing happens is that if we balance these doll, sort of Barbie doll messages with women who are proud of their curves, women who feel great about just who they are, then whoever feels like being a Barbie doll is the only way to feel good about themselves can also refer to those messages that say, love yourself the way you are, and in fact, curves are so beautiful, so don't feel bad about them. And I think that the same things can be balanced about those things. And I guess it's just getting the word out there, spreading more awareness about it, and talking about these issues.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it's, I guess, so important that organizations like yours do exist, right?
I guess so, yes.
And then, so do you think that, well, you probably get a lot of women who find themselves in unfortunate circumstances, right? Like things like experiencing poverty, or do you get women who've kind of like survived sexual assault, harassment, that also seek out your services?
So we work with a variety of different women, and while we are not so much involved in what they're coming from, because it's totally up to their own personal discretion, it's something they want to share or not, we don't get involved so much in that. And however, to collect the amount of numbers of women who are coming from sexual assault or homelessness or poverty, we hope to have some research done with participants who feel like they want to talk about their backgrounds, and hopefully the Sheen for She Foundation will have the facility and the resources needed to do that. And I feel like what you're asking would be amazing to know about the queens who visit the Sheen for She Foundation.
Yeah, for sure. So hopefully you can get that done. And I just have a couple more questions left. One is about being a woman who started this organization. Did you find that you faced any type of adversity starting something up, being a young woman?
I I don't think, I guess, just being a woman myself, like in my personal life and professional life, I have faced like many things that because of my gender, my race, my age, and I find them to be very minor because I'm able to move on from them and use them as my fuel to, prove everyone wrong and show them that yes, I am capable of what they think I am not. So I guess in a sense that I have feelings for women, mostly because I know what they've been through. But also in general, just like with women starting businesses, starting corporations, or being in leadership positions, I often find that the most common adversity, and one that I've seen, is that women don't support each other. Women feel like they are in competition with each other, or that there is no need to improve the situation of women, or we feel like we are in a constant game for survival, and instead of supporting each other, we look to bring each other down sometimes. And I feel like this is so unfortunate, and it hinders our progress, our movements for equality, while we are usually the ones who don't help each other out. And we know this exists. We know, like, our girlfriends who feel jealous and don't help us out or support us in times that we need. We need that best friend. We need those qualities of having a good friend around us. So I guess this is one of the most common things when it comes to being in a leadership position, and not just for me, but for women who might have encountered this. And this is something in general as well, like for employees, where you work, where you go to school. So it's just a message to all women in general, that we are not in competition with each other. We are not, head to head like two bulls. We are connected with the same gender. We are women. So, let's hold hands and forget about our differences and move forward in a way that's progressive, and be a role model to men that this is how we can do amazing accomplishments if we support each other and have one another's back. So let's be that role model instead of being one of the reasons why we fail.
Yeah, I love that, because how are men or anyone going to take women seriously if they aren't supporting each other, right?
Most definitely. I mean, we couldn't have had the women's suffrage movement if only a couple of women who felt strong about their values came out. All of them had to support each other, and there wasn't competition that, hey, I'm going to be the main spokesperson, or I want to be known for this movement, or I don't agree with this, everything that was possible in history was because women were together as friends, and not just friends, they were there as like the musketeers. They would never leave each other. So I think that this is something we should not lose in our contemporary community of women, and we should stand strong together and set an example, like you said, for the women and for the men out there, to understand that we can do so much more together, not apart.
And what advice would you give to any young girls, young women who are listening to this and who want to either start their own foundation or just do anything to help?
So I would say go for it. I'd say don't wait. If you know what you're doing is right, then don't stop and look for people to support you. And I feel like one of the best ways to get involved in targeting such a huge and broad issue is to do your research and learn about how you want to get involved and why you think that what you're about to do is going to bring a change. And the other thing is that we need to get more involved with the policies that are controlling our lives. So this is one of the things where women don't feel equal. They don't feel like their voice is heard, mostly because it's not even represented in our government. And if we, begin to talk about this, talk about this difference in balance, then women, whoever wants to make a difference, young or old, should start right now. And the best way to do it is to become a leader, talk to leaders, and, try to find solutions that actually work. So anyone who wants to do it, I'd say go for it. And I really hope that if we combine all of our efforts, then in the next few years, our daughters won't be having the same conversation about gender inequality, about violence, about abuse, poverty, homelessness. I hope these conversations will not be continued into the future.
And perfect, thank you. Last thing, if anyone wants to get involved with the Sheen for She Foundation specifically, they want to help you out, what's something that they can do?
Well, the first and most easy way to get in touch with us is through our website. So my direct contact information is on there. So in any way, we accept help. We accept team members. We accept donations, and we are also looking for queens. So the most easy way is just through our website, and let us know how you want to get involved. So you can either volunteer, become a part of our team, or specialize in some way with what we do.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay, just one more thing I forgot. So one interesting way that we've come up to have everyone join the conversation at Sheen for She is with Shield, and it's something new that we're implementing in the foundation. So this is for all those women out there who can't afford aesthetics, can't afford self-defense training or self-care training. They are welcome to join and join the foundation and have all of those services for subsidized rates at our foundation. So they are supporting a cause as well as getting high quality service.
And they can access that on your website as well?
So they'll just need to get in touch, and we can book an appointment depending on what they're interested in.
All right, that sounds good. Thank you so much. And I'll have all of your website information in the description box for this episode, so it's really easy for people to access.
Thank you, Sophia.
All right, thank you for coming on the show today. Hopefully I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, Sophia, thank you for your time.
And that was this week's feature story. But if you followed our Femme Radio social media, you would have known that well before the episode started airing today. If you want to be in the know for future Femme Radio projects, which, you should head on over to Instagram and Twitter, both at CJRU Femme Radio, to keep updated. Because there's cool features coming up that I can't reveal to you just yet, but trust me on this one, you'll want to be the first to know. And to keep up with my personal stuff, you can find me at Esthetics on Twitter. I think my voice must be getting a little bit boring by now, and so I think it's almost time for me to sign off and start packing my bag for the upcoming school year. But before I do, I've got one last artist spotlight to share. Elle Zobari is a unique story because it just proves how someone can overcome obstacles and achieve. She actually came into her voice in her late teens, and her signature sultry alto is actually the result of vocal nodules that kill her upper register. But she owned it and has come into her own with a gruff sound that's absolutely to die for. She's got a lot of music for your binging pleasure, but this track is off her new album, July Clouds. Here's Elle Zobari's Banks of the River on Femme Radio.
And I don't wanna take a step before I'm sure when you're near me. Oh, it doesn't matter anyway. Still, the only place I'm gonna make my bed is the banks of the river where I lay my head. So I'll throw on a sweater and turn down the tunes, safe in the shape of my lover's arms. Oh, safe in the shape of my lover's arms.
Once again, that was Banks of the River by Era Zoberi, which was the third and final artist spotlight for this week. And you know what that means. It's time for me to hop off the airwaves for now. That's it for this episode of Femme Radio on CJRU 1280 AM in Toronto. I'm your host, Sophia Vavaruzos. And today you also heard me interview Mary Hoff in my exclusive feature story. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at CJRU Femme Radio. You can listen to us on Tuesdays from 4 to 5 p.m. on CJRU 1280 AM if you're in Toronto, or at cjru.ca if you're anywhere else. You can also listen on SoundCloud. If you'd like to get involved with our show or have an idea in mind for us, feel free to reach out on social media or email me at sophiavavaruzos@ryerson.ca. But all of that will be in the description box for this episode. The next time you hear from me, it'll be our very first 2019-2020 school year episode. And I'm going to make it a good one to distract you from all your homework, of course. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support Femme Radio and CJRU through all of the budget cuts. Please become a CJRU Patreon and show us how much we mean to you. One more time, thanks for listening today. I can't wait for what the school year has in store for all of us, especially as far as this show is concerned. I'm Sophia Vavaruzos on Femme Radio, and I hope I can have your ears again soon.